Hello everyone, this is Tzia Vang, and this is my PowerPoint presentation on my personal leadership plan. How will I lead myself as I prepare or continue to lead others? So let's begin with vacation. After I read Let Your Life Speak by Parker J. Palmer, his voice of vacation really stuck out to me. Um, his voice of vacation connects with leading for me, especially in trying times by how I carry myself, whether as a leader, follower, or just as an individual in life. It also connects with me in learning how to separate my wants from my needs and understanding when to be selfish and when not to. One statement of his that really grabbed my attention was, before I can tell my life what I want to do with it, I must listen to my life telling me who I am. I must listen for the truths and values at the heart of my own identity, not by the standards which I must live, but the standards by which I cannot help but live if I am living my own life. I did a lot of reflecting as soon as I read that, and I just thought to myself, wow, for the longest time, I was trying to please people with my actions and that I could live up to their expectations. But then in the end, that only made me miserable. I learned it the hard way. And it was when whatever it was that I did, they weren't ever going to be happy with what I did. So that taught me that overall in life, whatever you do for people, they will never ever be satisfied. So it's best not to live up to their own expectations because their expectations are just too impossible to live up to. So this led me to start loving myself, and I started fulfilling my own expectations of life, which gave me a new perspective that I want to constantly push. And that is that someone else's mistake will not be mine because their footsteps will not be followed by me. Another reminder that I've given myself is that even though I might not know everything in life, I can see everything in life, and that's how I've been learning. Another thing that he said that really stuck out to me was, I lead by word and deed simply because I am here doing what I do. If you are also here doing what you do, then you also exercise leadership of some sort. I kind of laughed when I saw this because, I mean, not in a bad way, but in a good way. Because if you think about it, nobody wants to be a leader. It just gets thrown onto them. And usually situations make us become leaders in our own ways. So that's vacation for me. Next up is emotional intelligence. Personally and professionally, I'd say that my emotional intelligence defines who I am by how I carry myself as an individual. And as an individual, there are many things that I value, such as love, time, and family. But coming from an emotionally intelligent perspective, I value attitude and communication. Because attitude and communication, especially in leadership for me, I mean, it's not just leadership too, even in my personal life or professional life. Attitude and communication gives me faith, especially if it comes down to me as the one to lead. I believe that if I can have a positive attitude, then it will benefit my behavior. When my behavior benefits from my positive attitude, it also benefits those in my surroundings. However, if it were to be vice versa, if I had a negative attitude, then that affects my behavior, which means that when my behavior is affected by my negative attitude, it also affects those in my surroundings. I've I I believe that if I can treat and respect others the same way I want to be treated and respected, then I find it beneficial for my people skills. Even if others refuse to give me the same treatment and respect, I will still find it beneficial for my people skills because it just teaches me not to behave like them. So that's what I get out of my emotional intelligence. So I took one of the tests from Myers and Briggs inventory, and turns out that I am a type ESFJ. Extrovert at 6%, sensing at 12%, feeling at 22%, and judging at 1%. Interestingly, I found out that my type is a very common type. Not only that, I also found out that this is a test where it showed what my strengths and weaknesses were. So let's get to that. My top 3 strengths are strong practical skills, very loyal, sensitive, and warm. And as for my top 3 weaknesses, I'm worried about my social status. I'm vulnerable to criticism, and I'm too selfless. Based on the scores that I received, I don't think the scores should be any different because I actually agree with him. They're often what I experience on a daily basis, especially when I'm at work, because I work alone and I talk to myself a lot. And I would say that my personality intelligence helps me develop as a character by directing me to seeing how I can make my strengths useful in other situations, understanding the potential in my strengths, and most importantly, how I can improve on my weaknesses. Lately, I've been learning how to value my strengths as an individual, but not as a leader. I believe that if I can value myself as a leader, perhaps my can expand and it will lead me to the best of my skills. Furthermore, I also believe that being able to value myself will give me a deeper understanding of my own personality and intelligence. Speaking of intelligences, I found out that I have, like everybody else, we all have our strong, moderately strong, and not so strong intelligences. So, my 3 strong intelligences are linguistic, musical, and interpersonal. Uh, love writing a lot. I just don't like writing when I have to do a lot of papers. I don't think anybody does. But as far as musical goes, yeah, I love music. I play the guitar and I do sing too, and I break dance. So I love music for all of that. And interpersonal, yeah, I'm a warrior, not like a warrior, like a fighter, like a warrior. WORRIER. I'd like to say that. I worry a lot, so I would say, and I have my own thoughts a lot. So I would say that that is part of my strong intelligences. So moving on, moderately strong intelligences, bodily slash kinesthetic, interpersonal, visual slash spatial. Um, yeah, so I would say I'm not quite the athletic person. I'm alright with interpersonal stuff, visual, spatial. I guess it depends too. So I'm 50-50 on those. And I guess I wasn't sure how to name this, but I called it weak intelligences. So the only thing that I have that I would say is actually a weak intelligence for me is logical slash mathematical, or in other words, anything math related. Anything math related, I refuse to do it. I took statistics and I hate it. I don't think I learned a thing from it. I don't know how it even benefits me, but I don't like anything math related, so I don't waste my time to improve in that because I don't think it's going to improve anytime soon. So I just stick with what I have. That's my strength, and I want to continue to keep expanding in that. So, yeah. moving on. So pretty much up to this point here, you guys could see that my faith and values and ethical thinking, I talk a lot about myself, and it's because I am aware about myself, and that pretty much is self-awareness. I have self-awareness, and I have Travis Bradberry here because his TED Talk video named "The Power of Emotional Intelligence." It, after watching it, I felt like it deepened my self-awareness. Um, that's part of my emotion. That's part of emotional intelligence. It's what he said right here for me. So when you master your emotions, when you become aware of them, when you are able to manage them effectively, it trickles into everything you do. It trickles into how you manage stress. It affects how you give presentations, how you work in a team, how you make decisions. It's a foundational skill. So he has 3 silver bullet points that he offers, and that it can increase one's EQ, which is getting stress under control by doing all the stuff that needs to be done, such as taking a walk, reading a book, and exercising. Cleaning up sleep hygiene. More sleep would be great, but for a lot of people, that isn't going to happen. And cleaning up hygiene, sleep hygiene, is the best next route. And 3, getting caffeine taken under control. The quality of sleep is needed to remove these toxin proteins from the brain. I'm sorry. I'd say that out of all these areas that he described in his TED Talk video about emotional intelligence, I currently see all these taking place in my life at the moment. Some days I feel like I am able to control my stress, sleep hygiene, and caffeine, but most days I can't because I'm too much of a thinker. I'm too much of a warrior. My problem is that I don't live my life one day at a time. Instead, I live years ahead at a time because I seek for a positive future. And I mainly just want to do well and succeed enough to a point where I can breathe and find my happiness. So that sums up my faith values and my ethical thinking. Let's talk about the sort of leadership model that will allow for me to be the most effective leader I can be when serving in a manager role. There are 3 out of these best known leadership theories. 3 out of these 10 leadership theories that I think I have the power and I do possess. And that is the great man theory, leadership is learnable. Situational leadership theory, the leader must adapt. Servant leadership theory, where people follow out of love and gratitude rather than out of compulsion or fear. So for me to relate with great man theory, I never wanted to be a leader. I'll say I've always wanted to be, but I didn't think I have what it takes to be a good leader until, I took on the role. And it's one of those things like being an employee on the job, you learn as you go and you improve every day as you go to work. So it was one of those things for me, and I'm very I like this theory a lot, because leadership is learnable. For situational leadership theory, the leader must adapt. I like to adapt because I think that when a leader adapts, regardless of whatever circumstance it is, if they're able to adapt to any circumstance, that makes them a great leader. It makes them really flexible and well-rounded as a leader. As for servant leadership theory, where people follow out of love, me as a leader, sorry, not leader, as a leader, I I don't know. I don't know where to begin with this, but I will say that because there's the word follow in there. Um, I always I will always see myself as a follower, even though I'm the leader. And that's just me. As a leader, I like to include all of my followers because I want them to know that I value them just as much as they value me. I hope that sums it up. How will team members be motivated to achieve shared outcomes? I'd say in order for them to be motivated, I myself as a leader will need the 5 practices of becoming an exemplary leader, which is by Kouzes and Posner. First off is model the way. Leaders find their own voice by clarifying their personal values and setting the example by aligning actions with shared values. Inspired a shared vision. Sharing a vision and inspiring it demonstrates the passion with the belief that people can make a difference. Challenge the process, doing things with and to the best of their ability. Challenging the process is what it takes to be a well-rounded person, and it is also what makes a well-rounded person. Enable others to act. When motivating others, they can gain a sense of feeling strong, they recognize their potential, and they can understand what it's like to have confidence in their decisions and responsibilities. Encourage the heart. An action that puts us in perspective of believing that anything can be possible. Anything can be possible and is possible because we are the ones that make it possible. How will I handle conflict? Well, haven't been a manager before, I don't know what it's going to be like, but I will say that if I have to handle conflict, it would be for me to be direct, show empathy, and avoid debating or defending the decision. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'd say that if I could have just these 2 things, maybe, just maybe, I will be able to handle conflict. What sorts of leadership challenges do I predict I might encounter in a manager role, and how do I plan to meet them? Well, I know that disagreements is going to be a challenge because, within every leadership organization or leadership group, there will always be disagreements. There will always be cliques. There's always going to be cliques. Some people will always end up getting along with each other more than the other because 2 people could have the same brain while the other person has a different brain. um, and this is how I plan to meet my challenges, um, to avoid disagreements and cliques. I want to give every employee and follower a chance to be vocal and to propose ideas of their own. Because I think that when doing this, it brings everybody closer and people butt heads less. Well, what are my plans for growth related to leadership and management? Well, after watching Ensures management foundations, what I was able to get from there for my growth related to leadership and management is care about employees or followers and learn from mistakes. Keep in mind that the skills needed to become a leader or manager are not the same skills needed as a successful leader or manager. Be patient and develop a network of supporters. Believe that the work matters. Be careful about managing perceptions of fairness. And build trust every day with small actions and good choice. Alright, well that seems to be it. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for listening. I passed my 12 to 15 minute time limit. So now this is pretty much a 20-minute video. Thank you so much for being patient. This was a great course, and I look forward to having the same instructor again in the future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.